Welcome to this video of a month of mindfulness, a series of monotangles taught to increase your awareness of here and now with your pen. Today I want to do a little blossom tangle. These are often the most fun to do when you only have a little short amount of time, as they pull your focus in into a small area and then expand it out slowly. So make sure you have your tools ready, a pen, a pencil and a blending tool. I'm using a tortillon today. And then just breathe in and breathe out. Calm yourself, breathe in, breathe out. And with a relaxed state, we can start. So this tangle that I've chosen today is called Arukas. It is particularly effective at working in a small area and expanding it slowly. It's named after the pen manufacturer. Because Sakura in Japan means cherry tree. You think of they're quite famous for their blossoming cherry tree season. And so we're going to start with that trunk of the tree as an orb in the center of our tile. If you're just working within a section, just pop your orb somewhere in the middle of it. As I'm working on my little hexagon tiles, I'm just going to pop it in roughly the center as I possibly can. So we've started our trunk, and this is our tree, and it's going to grow. So I now want to draw some little branches that head out. So I'm just going to draw a straight line. If it's not straight, don't worry. And a little pair to go with it that comes from my trunk and heads to the outside of my tile, or it might just be the outside of your section. Slowly building them out, gently rotating your tile so you can do the same repetitive stroke as you head out the way. Because I'm choosing on this hexagon tile to make it a little symmetrical, I've got 6, but if you've got a different number of branches, that's absolutely fine. And once you have all your branches out, we're then going to go back to our trunk, and I'm just going to rotate and do a little aura line following the curve of my orb that's in the middle. Again, I will gently rotate the tile as I go, so I can do that same repetitive stroke. Once I get back to the beginning, I think you might guess what will happen next. I'm going to go back to those branches and just aura either side of the initial straight line branch that we did. And each time I do one, I'm using the line that already exists to tell me where to take this new line, using it as a guide, rotating my tile so it's the same repetitive strokes, until you find yourself back at the beginning again. I'm going to go back now to my tree trunk and take that curve that's in the middle and slowly expand it out until you're back at the beginning. And then we'll go back to our branches. Gently watching the ink flow out of your pen, heading across the tile or the section, rotating it round. If you're not going as fast as me, or perhaps you're working in a journal which isn't so easy to rotate, just take your time, do it at your speed. And if you're ahead of me, then perhaps again you are already drawing the next curved aura of your trunk. And you can either keep rotating round like this, doing each one, or perhaps once you've got a slightly smaller section, you might choose to do each section working independently. 2 branch auras, 1 trunk aura. 2 branch auras, 1 trunk aura, until I've run out of space. Whichever way you choose to do it is absolutely fine. Perhaps if you're working in a journal and you don't want to be rotating your tile or your journal book quite as often, then choosing to do one section at a time is a slightly easier way, but just as calming to fill the section up. Notice which lines you did last and make sure you get into a lovely flow and rhythm just doing those same repetitive strokes. Don't rush. If you're not sure, just double check which one to do first. Is it the trunk or is it the branches? Until you've finished completing your section. There's no prizes for coming first. Go at the speed that suits you. Until you have finished all of your branches and all of your trunk auras. If you make an oops, don't worry, just own it. It isn't going to matter in the long run. I've finished my tile here. I'll just move on to my shading. So I'm just going to grab my pencil, and how might I choose to shade it today? I might just take a little bit of graphite and just put it at the bottom of the branches where these are all popping out behind the trunk auras. And then use my tortillon to gently blend the graphite into the texture of the paper and out towards the edge. You don't have to shade in exactly the same one for each segment if you don't want to. But I do find it quite nice just to do one little segment at a time, separated by those trunk auras. To the next one. I might also add a little bit of graphite around my outside edge here, just to give the tile an edge. A little bit of graphite. I'm holding my pencil quite flat so I can gently use the graphite point of the pencil to see exactly where I want to pop it. It also, of course, probably makes you a little bit easier to see on the video, but that isn't the reason why I do it. I do it because it's a nice way to really see where the point of my pencil is going. I have a short pencil so that it's tucked inside my hand, right tucked in there, so it's easy to hold it quite flat. I had one lovely student who had an existing pencil and ended up chopping her existing pencil in half so that she could do the same thing. All she had was 2 pencils then. It worked out very well. And once I've got my graphite on, use your blending tool to gently push it into the spots that you want to do. My final bit of graphite just around the edge of the section here. And gently use the tortillon just to blend it in really smooth it into the texture of the paper or the card or the journal that you're working on. If you like, you might choose to just pop in with your pen a little orb, or perhaps, actually, maybe we won't do a little reflection. Maybe we'll just think about those trunk rings. And I'm just going to add a few extra lines as if my tree trunk has grown all the way from the inside. I might add a little bit of shading just on one side of it though, just to calm it down. Obviously, because mine is symmetrical on my hexagon tile and it goes round and round, I'll just find the biggest spot with which I can neatly add my chop, my little mark to say that I'd drawn this tile, and then gently pop my tools down and just admire. And perhaps with Arukas you did things slightly differently. Perhaps your orb was not orby at all. Perhaps your trunk had lots of gnarls and knots, perhaps as it goes along. Perhaps your aura lines were wavy. Maybe they were straight. Maybe they were a mixture of the two, as your Arukas can go round in a very organic fashion. Or perhaps you didn't start with an orb at all. This one I've started with a little pentagon, and I've added some rounding. So however you've done your Arukas today, remember that those same repetitive strokes are just swapped between branch and trunk. Just as a tree grows its branches in its spring, its trunk in the summer, then shade, add your chop, and appreciate. Enjoy.